I feel like the first thing you would have to do before you fly this plane,
Yes.
I mean, very important.
Yes. You look great. Are you sure that you're afraid of flying? Like maybe you should.
I'm sure.
You look like you belong here.
Should I hit the starter button?
There's some stuff in our way.
Farmers, brewers, hunters, packers, badgers, cheeseheads, neighbors. No matter what name we go by, we are bound together by our roots. These are the people, the stories, and the patriotism from inside Wisconsin. Welcome to Deeper Roots with Blain's Farm and Fleet.
I'm slightly afraid of flying. Not slightly at all. I'm afraid of flying. And there are a lot of planes. And so we'll see if I get in one or go up in the air, or maybe it's just a simulator. I'm not sure. Hannah, the museum curator here at the Kelch Aviation Museum in Brodhead, Wisconsin. Hannah, thanks for joining us on Deeper Roots to talk about why in the world this amazing place is in the middle of Brodhead, Wisconsin. Maybe take me back to the beginning of the idea of this museum and who had it.
Yeah, that's a great question. We are called the Kelch Aviation Museum, but Kelch is actually a person. His name was Al Kelch. He was born in the early 1920s, and he had a huge fascination with Lindbergh. As some of you may know, or you may know, Lindbergh flew over the Atlantic in 1927.
Good year.
It was a good year. He became enamored with that kind of history and with those aircraft specifically. He went on to found the Kelch Corporation. He is credited with inventing the orange traffic cone. So anything plastic, he did it. Boots, toys, traffic cones, things like that. So that's kind of where he gained some of his wealth. And then he was able to really hone in on airplanes like we have in here, specifically from the time period of 1920 to 1930. This whole airport itself is vintage. That's why he calls this place home, or that's why he wanted this collection here. He started a trust in the 90s because he didn't have any relatives to leave this to. And with such a unique collection, a lot of these airplanes, sometimes only one of their kind or one of 6 or 12 that are left flying in the world. He started that trust and then said, make a museum. Here's a little bit of money to maybe get you started. And then we had to fundraise the rest.
How did all of this come to be so that this could exist here?
So this airport was originally founded in 1946 by a man named Bill Earlywine. He was a B-25 pilot in World War II. He served over a dozen missions and survived, which is unheard of. He still had the love for aviation. He wanted to share his passion. So he rented what is out here today. What is the Brodhead Airport? It was just some farmland. And he started a Taylorcraft and air coupe dealer type ship. And he would give lessons and he'd give rides, and he had a lot of community support. Cultivating that kind of community and always staying vintage. I mean, this airport never fully evolved. It kind of became known as a vintage airport. People all over the country and even the world come here to see the vintage collection and just the airplanes on the field. And Al kind of getting into that at the right time, around the 60s and the 70s, knowing that this is what this place is made of, is vintage at its core. He felt that it was right for him to bring his collection here because ultimately these airplanes are right at home.
What were the things that they noticed with these airplanes that they literally still use today in commercial airlines?
Just the basics of airplanes and flight. It's all pretty much stayed the same. Of course, we've made better improvements with avionics and streamlined designs and things like that, but the overarching elements of aviation that we found early on are still used today.
What do you want to teach people that come to this museum?
I want to teach people that aviation's a lot more accessible than they think. You know, I didn't have an interest in aviation until I came here, and then I dove in head first. But even when I was working here, I was like, I could never do that, right? Like, that's just not the cards for me. It's probably too expensive, and I probably just couldn't do it. But with this community of people, specifically the vintage community and this community that I keep referring to, is just such a group of genuine people that all have the same sickness for aviation. We all love it so much. You know, it's more than a hobby, it's a passion. So people that come in, it's like, I want you to know that there's a community of people. If you genuinely wanted to get into something like this, it is accessible for you. It's not out of reach like you might think it is.
So you've talked a lot about the vintage airplanes, and there is a number of them behind me, including some vehicles, which I have questions on too. May I please have a tour?
I suppose.
Thanks.
I'll pass you off to our creative director, Amy Eckerdly.
All right, tour time. The Kelch Aviation Museum. Ami is the creative director. It is time to connect the dots from our conversation with Hannah to some of the things that we'll see here. Thanks for the tour in advance. Where do we begin?
We begin at the beginning. That's right here. I want to tell you a little bit more about the Golden Age of Aviation. Between the wars, the 20s, the 30s, a lot was happening. And one of the things we focus on the most here, a lot of our airplanes still fly. In fact, almost all of them. And one of the biggest pushers and drivers of technology and innovation and aviation infrastructure at the time in the 20s and 30s was airmail. The development of airmails. Another thing that happened was a huge boom in interest in aviation. So Hannah mentioned Charles Lindbergh, how he did this amazing thing and flew across the entire ocean. In 1927, he was an airmail pilot. Airmail was brand new. We had all these guys coming home from the war, all these airplane surplus left over from World War I. What were we going to do with them? We can deliver things. We can haul passengers. We can haul goods. So airmail was developed starting in the United States in 1918. Airplanes at the time looked like this, and even more rudimentary. So they're open cockpit. It was hard to fly in weather, like cold weather or rainy weather or foggy weather. The only way to talk to the ground was shouting, which doesn't work very well over the sound of an engine.
Hello!
So there were no radios. There was no GPS, obviously. The only way of navigating was a compass and looking at the ground for landmarks. Obviously that works only if the weather's clear, if it's daytime. This is from the original Al Kelch collection. He wanted to have a Charles Lindbergh airplane. This one had been flown by Charles Lindbergh only once. When he returned from his famous flight and everyone was so excited about it, he did a goodwill tour around the United States and actually around parts of the whole world. He flew this airplane on a little special publicity jaunt from Chicago to St. Louis. So a lot of these aircraft have like a very personal story. Some of it is directly related to the airport here, some of it Wisconsin or a specific person. This airplane is an improbable survivor because it was one of only 11 built. It got lost for years. People didn't know where it was. It just kind of fell off people's radar. So while I'm explaining, you can like...
Oh, I thought you were going to ask me to get into the airplane.
Would you like to? We're going to do a little lesson on how to climb. When you climb in, there is a little footstool. You can hold on to here. You can hold on to also, this is a step here. And then you can step up, get your leg all the way over, and then you can stand on the seat here.
Okay.
Good luck.
Is that a question?
Yes.
Good luck. I can do this.
I think you can do this.
1,
yeah.
2, 3.
Okay, so yeah, perfect. That's a good handhold. Doing great.
Yeah, doing great. Wait till you see me get out of this thing.
You did great.
Oh, I just sat on a seatbelt. Oh, look at this. It's actually kind of roomy. Like, there's a lot of leg room.
So I'm going to climb up and show you.
I feel like the first thing you would have to do before you fly this plane,
Yes.
I mean, very important.
Yes. You look great. Are you sure that you're afraid of flying? Like maybe you should...
I'm sure.
You look like you belong here.
Should I hit the starter button?
There's some stuff in our way. In the mid-late 40s, this airplane was owned by a guy, and he was dating this young woman named Ruth, and he really wanted to impress her. So he decided to take her for a ride, and he sat where you're sitting. At the time, there were no shoulder straps. They decided to be really impressive and do a loop-the-loop. Well, he didn't get enough momentum, so he stalled at the top of the loop. But in that moment of weightlessness, Ruth just had her lap belt around her lap, and it's quite a wide lap belt, so she slipped out, landed against his upper wing, and he freaked out. And so he pushed the airplane down again, and all that gravity and a little extra G-force came back, and she smacked back into the seat. Anyway, they got to the ground, and he was like, she's gonna be really mad. But apparently all she said was, if you're gonna do that, you should learn to do it right. And they still got married. So they got married and they sold the airplane for $300 in 46 or 47. They had 2 kids and one son grew up to become an airplane mechanic. And so he was like, what happened to it, Dad, Mom? And they were like, we don't know. So he spent 20 years looking for it, and finally somebody found an old rusted out airframe in a barn. And they're like, I think I found your airplane.
Wow.
They restored the airplane, it's back in the family, it's still owned by the family, it's on display here, but the man whose mother luckily survived that loop-the-loop, he still owns it, and he's on our board now. So that's the Butler Blackhawk story, and every airplane in this collection has a crazy story. Maybe not involving falling out of airplanes, but involving people and adventures, which is what makes this place so cool.
Ami and Hannah, you guys have been awesome, and you are a wealth of information, and there are a lot of stories to be told here in Brodhead, and I think it's really cool that you guys do this for people like me on the ground. Thank you for teaching me all the things here in the cockpit. There's significant deep roots here in Brodhead in this museum.
It's hard to be here and not soak it up. And I feel like there's sort of a legendary legacy to soak up. The Brodhead Airport, Bill Earlywine, Al Kelch, they're all still here in a way, you know? So come visit us and you'll feel a little bit of it yourself.
Do you remember what the question was?
Yep.
Good, I don't. There's a reason I'm not a pilot. I do not fit.
You fit just fine.
You cannot scare me anymore than I am already scared of flying. I feel it. And I also feel that these leather hats do not breathe.
No.
Very protective.
Very protective. We're all about safety.
All right, get me out of here. Found it. Noggin.
Boom.
Let me tell you, the words flight and fright sound eerily similar to me. I don't know about you. Good thing our friends Hannah and Ami over at the Kelch Aviation Museum in Brodhead took great care of me during the episode, the latest Deeper Roots with our friends at Blain's Farm and Fleet. I can't thank them enough for the work that they do preserving Wisconsin's legacy in aviation and, of course, for keeping me on the ground. That said, go pay them a visit. They have a great slate of events coming up and throughout the entire year, so check them out online and follow them on their social media channels. You won't regret it. You know what else you won't regret? Heading over to farmandfleet.com/deeperroots and filling out the entry form to recommend a friend, a family member, or yourself for a chance to be our next guest on Deeper Roots. We'd love to hear from you. And of course, hit subscribe, give us a thumbs up, leave a comment below if you're on YouTube or anywhere else. Let us know if you enjoyed the episode. And of course, if you're listening to the podcast, a 5-star review would be splendid. Thanks. We'll see you next time.
Talk to you later. Bye.